Welcome to the Roberts Law Office Injury Podcast. Kentucky attorney Jeff Roberts has over 25 years of experience. He'll provide answers to your questions related to personal injury and automobile accidents, workers' compensation claims, and Social Security disability benefits. Let's join Jeff for this episode. And friends, welcome back. We were in Calloway County with attorney Jeff Roberts, and Jeff has a practice down here. He's been practicing for over 32 years, and he focuses in personal injury, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability. So this is going to be kind of a three-part episode today, and some really interesting things happened in 2024 for Jeff, and I think we're going to kind of jump into that. The first one, and you may or may not be familiar with this designation, but Jeff was named to the super lawyers list of attorneys here in Kentucky, and that is actually a really big deal. Jeff, welcome to the conversation.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Buddy, I'm doing well. I've got a little bit of a history with this designation in the past. I'm not an attorney. I've never been added to this list by any means, but I'm very familiar with what goes into actually making that list. That is actually a peer review type list where your colleagues have to say, well, okay, we're kind of looking for some of the top guys. Yeah, Jeff's one of those guys. So congratulations on that designation.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Yes, I was selected to be a super lawyer in personal injury in Kentucky this year, and I'm very proud of that accomplishment. I'm glad that they selected me. My understanding from them when I was talking to them when they called me to let me know that I was selected is that less than 5% of the attorneys in the state make that list from there. And frankly, when you look at it, you see attorneys primarily in the major metropolitan areas from that. So, being from Murray, Kentucky and far western Kentucky to make that list, I'm very appreciative of my fellow attorneys who nominated me, and actually, I don't know who they were, frankly. They don't tell you that.
Yeah, it's double blind.
It's blind, but the ones who nominated me and then the ones they reached out to ask about that nomination that said, yes, I would be a good addition to the list. I'm very appreciative of them for that. So.
Well, it's kind of interesting. A lot of people think, well, he must have gotten the biggest, the biggest verdict or something like that, and that's really not how super lawyers works. I mean, yes, your results in settlements and in the courtroom, that does matter, but it's also what else are you doing for the practice of law? What else, and you do a lot of seminars where you are actually instructing other attorneys on various issues, especially the ones I've seen that you do in workers' compensation. But you're contributing back, and again, you're also viewed as a leader in that regard, because you do get invited to have these conversations in front of your peers.
Right. Yeah, they're looking at not only they do look at results, and obviously, if you're not obtaining good results for your clients, you're not going to make the list, or at least you're not going to make the list. But they're also looking at other aspects as well. From there, and it's how well you are representing your clients, the results that you're obtaining for your clients, what you're doing to advance the profession as a whole. All of those, from my understanding, all of those are what comes into play in determining who makes the super lawyers list every year. So.
Absolutely, and as you said, it's very select. I think you're right on the 5% number. It's a very small number. And just because you make it one year doesn't mean you're guaranteed to make it another year. So any attorney that achieves that list, that's named to that list has done something special.
Right.
Outstanding. As we look at the year here, and this is just another organization that I'm somewhat familiar with, the Kentucky Justice Association is a group you've been actively engaged with for many years. I mean, you've actually been an officer. You've come up through the ranks and held a number of positions there. But you want to talk a little bit about what KJA, the Kentucky Justice Association, actually is and kind of what their purpose is.
Yeah, the Kentucky Justice Association is it's the largest voluntary lawyer organization in Kentucky. You got Kentucky Bar Association, but Kentucky Bar Association, every attorney licensed in Kentucky is a member of the Kentucky Bar Association because it's mandatory.
And that's regardless of what type of law they practice.
Regardless of what type of law they practice. They can do deeds, trust, wills, things of that nature. They have to be a member of the Kentucky Bar Association to practice in Kentucky. It's mandatory. So it's not a voluntary organization. The Kentucky Justice Association is an association. I mean, if you read the mission statement, it is an organization designed to protect the Seventh Amendment of right to trial by jury and to help train attorneys in that process, so to speak. It's worded better than that, but I mean that's kind of the mission of it. And it frequently it's referred to as the Trial Lawyers Association or the plaintiff or the injured parties lawyers association, because to be a part of that organization, first off, you cannot be doing at least exclusively or primarily insurance defense. So you can do a little bit of it, but you can't be doing a great deal. But if better than 50% or 51% of your practice is insurance defense work, you cannot be a member of the organization. And that we do that for the reason we want to make sure that what we're teaching on how to better represent our clients aren't used against us.
Right.
To some extent. And when we share information, I don't want the insurance defense attorney in my car wreck case that I'm representing the client in to get some document I'm sharing with another attorney in that group and get their hands on it and then use that against me and say, well, Jeff said this and this thing or something of that nature. So, but it is, I've been a member of that organization for, I was licensed to practice in 1992. Gentleman I started practicing with, Don Jones, unfortunately he's passed away now, but he was a member of that organization, active in that organization, and got me to join the organization and start being active in that organization in 1993. So I've been a part of that organization now for greater than 30 years.
And I think that's probably where you and I first met.
It was.
We both went. We figured out a couple of months ago that you and I attended Murray State roughly the same time. In fact, we had a little bit of an overlap, but I think we actually became friends through KJA.
Yes. That's where we met at some of the KJA events, seminars. And I can say without any reservation that the best thing that I've done in my practice was joining KJA and becoming active in KJA. The Kentucky Justice Association puts on the best legal seminars. I'm a much better attorney now than I ever would have been if I was not a member of KJA. We talked about me joining or being selected to super lawyers just a few minutes ago. I would not have been selected to super lawyers, in my opinion, if not for Kentucky Justice Association and the training that I've received from their seminars. Law school is really good about teaching you how to look up the law and learn where the law is, how to argue a case in court. They're not that great. Law school, at least in my opinion, wasn't that great at that. And hard to argue damages to a jury and all of those things. The seminars that I've attended with Kentucky Justice Association has advanced my knowledge much greater than it would have been otherwise from there. And, that organization is, I can't say enough good things about the organization, and it is one that is near and dear to me, and I've been a part of for a long time, supported it for a long time, and I do that because it is, in my opinion, it's the best thing that's been happened to me in my practice, best thing for my clients, because I'm a much better attorney now because of that organization there. And I've met some of the folks I've met in that organization have become really good friends of mine. There, and so it's just to me, I can't say anything about anything but good things about that organization. It's just a great group of attorneys, and then the staff is the best staff that you'll ever find. So.
Outstanding. And just recently, they recognized you in a matter of way. You want to explain that one? I didn't want to let the genie out of the bag. I want you to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and this is not the reason I'm singing the praises of the organization, but yes, in December, December was an exciting month because that's when I knew about the super lawyers earlier in the year. I think in July they notified me I was going to be added, but the publication and the official announcement come out in December. And also in December, I was sworn in as president of the Kentucky Justice Association for this year, for 2025. I mean, I will. A new president will be sworn in December of this year. But yes, I was elected to be president of that organization, and am very appreciative of that as well. To be selected by my peers in that organization, some peers some of which I look up to. And think a lot of, for them to select me to be the president of the organization, it is, if not one of the greatest achievements, certainly one of, if not the greatest achievements in my career, in my opinion.
Well, Jeff, congratulations on that. I mean, that both the super lawyers list, but also the presidency of the Kentucky Justice Association is just an outstanding recognition, really, of what you do, and I know a lot of members of KJA. A lot of them are friends of mine. I've worked with them before. But yeah, I mean, people have a very good opinion of you. And I think it's because of the way you treat them and the way you treat your clients. You're very knowledgeable. I mean, you know your craft. And it comes down to you really know your craft, and you are willing to help when people need help. And that goes not only for your clients, but also for your colleagues.
Well, and that's one of the benefits of the Kentucky Justice Association is the willingness of the members. That organization is around 1,000 members in the state of Kentucky, and that organization is made up of attorneys who are more than willing to share their knowledge with other attorneys. When I was a young attorney, I had a lot of people, when I had questions on issues I had never faced before, I could reach out to Kentucky Justice Association attorneys that had faced that issue and talk with them, and they would talk me through how they thought I should address that issue in these cases, and it helped me out greatly when I was a younger attorney. And I still, there's still times when I reach out and ask for advice from somebody. But I've got 30 years under my belt, and people are reaching out to me at this point in time, which I'm appreciative that they think enough of me to do that. And I share that back. I don't think there's ever been an attorney in the Kentucky Justice Association that I have reached out to for assistance that hadn't willfully assisted me when I needed it, or anybody else that reached out to them. I think it's just an organization, and even though you could say, quote unquote, we compete against each other to some extent, we are our primary motive is to help the injured people in the state of Kentucky. And if it's not my client, but somebody else's client, and that attorney calls me up and says, look, I've got this client who's got this kind of, had this injury, and we've got this issue, and I don't know how to deal with it, I want to help them deal with that because I want to make sure that injured person is properly taken care of, and vice versa. They've helped me in that same situation. But the unselfishness of the people in that organization and their willingness to help is, to me, it's always been inspiring. And I tell new attorneys frequently, the best decision you will make is joining this organization and becoming active in the organization. I've known some who's been involved, who's joined it, but then kind of just sat back and didn't really do anything and didn't get involved. And a couple of years later, they don't renew their membership for whatever reason. But if they become involved in the organization, they stay involved for the rest of their career. It's just the way it works.
No, and that's outstanding. And again, just once again, Congratulations. You're one of the most humble guys I've ever sat down at a table with. And I know we do these podcasts every month or so, but you were one of the most humble guys. And I know talking about this kind of stuff probably doesn't make you as comfortable as you could be if we were talking about some other type of case or issue within the law. But this recognition is just well deserved. I mean, it's, what do they say? Daddy always said it's not bragging if you can back it up. I mean, and your peers think you're backing it up, obviously.
Yeah, you know me for several years now, and I do not like talking about myself. I don't like that. I will talk about Kentucky Justice Association all the time, and I focus more on that than I have on me for a reason, because I'm much more comfortable talking about that organization than I am talking about myself. So.
Well, I tell you what, I'm waiting for you to get the big Grand Poobah hat and the cape from Super Lawyers, and we'll have to take some more video. This is fantastic.
I got a bone to pick with Super Lawyers because I haven't got my cape yet. I mean, I went home and told my wife about being selected for the Super Lawyers, and she said one of the first things she said is, "Are you getting a cape?" No, I'm not getting a cape.
That's funny. I'm going to get you a T-shirt with a big S on the front of it, though, or SL on the front of it. But no, that's all good. Well, Jeff, we're here in January 2025, so we're at the start of a new year. But it's always helpful to look back and kind of see what happened in years previous, and especially in the prior year, 2024. It was an up and down year for a lot of people. But you actually did some pretty interesting work, and once again, you handle personal injury, which is primarily car wrecks, motorcycle wrecks, truck wrecks. You do some other things. We've talked about dog bites and other things like that. But then you do a tremendous amount of workers' comp and Social Security disability. Over the last couple of weeks, you've kind of done a look back over kind of what happened. You want to break that open a little bit?
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk about it. Yeah, 2024 was a good year for my office and for my clients from there. And that's obviously what my main focus is on there, and we were able to resolve several cases in 2024 and make good recoveries for my clients, take care of medical bills, take care of future, and take away a lot of stress that they had over how they were going to pay their bills into the future, and I'm very proud of that from there. I don't like to talk about any one specific case and how much I recovered in that case there. I don't think that's good for the clients, to be honest, especially if you give a little too much information, then family or friends may figure out who it is. And I know some attorneys post on their websites, well, I represented so-and-so in this motorcycle wreck, or I represented motorcycle wreck that occurred on this intersection or whatever, and we recovered X amount of money. I just don't think, I don't like to do that. If the client wants to tell their people what they recovered, that's up to them. I'm not going to share that information, even if I don't say who the client is. In my opinion, that's still attorney-client privileged information. It's for them to release if they want to. I won't release it. But globally, I will talk about what the law firm did. And, in the personal injury side, the majority of my cases on personal injuries you talked about are some sort of a motor vehicle collision, car accident, motorcycle wreck, semi-truck wreck, something of that nature. And, we recovered, the recoveries for the clients last year were into the millions of dollars for the clients. And I'm very happy that we were able to make those recoveries. Some people, some clients I had who had very significant injuries, and we've taken care of them even though they were fairly young, taken care of them for the rest of their life there. And the same on the workers' comp side, we recovered millions of dollars for our clients last year as well. On the workers' compensation side, some were totally disabled and they're going to get paid benefits till age 70. Some weren't totally disabled but had significant injuries, and we've got all their medical bills taken care of, reimburse their savings, what they were out, plus money coming in, or a large lump sum amount that they were able to set back for future, to take care of their future. And, that's the reason I do this. I get paid, and I get paid well, and I appreciate that. But the reason I do this is when you take someone who is going through some of the most difficult times of their life, and you walk with them through that process and help them out during that process. And then at the end of that, you have a recovery that lifts that burden off of them. It's more than just financially rewarding to be able to do that. It is rewarding to do that, and it's why I get up and come into the office on snowy days, so I can take care of those clients. And it's just, to me, the best job in the world to be able to do that and help people out in that regard.
I mean, I can't imagine what that must feel like. And also, when you look at it, it's not just your client; it's the families.
Yes,
How much,
absolutely.
just the stress and the terror. Hey, so and so can't go back to work. Hey, somebody's got a brain injury. They're not the same person, and I don't know how we're going to make this work. Or hey, my parents, something's happened to my parent, and you're out there doing this day in, day out from Murray and from Christian County up in Hopkinsville. Jeff, you're a solo attorney. You know this, but the public may forget about this. You see all these ads on TV and you hear them on the radio, but a lot of times there are huge firms that are trying to amass all these dollars. You're one attorney, and you're just an effective, hardworking, head down, humble guy doing the work, and it's just phenomenal to see these types of results.
Well, I am a solo practitioner. I am a solo practitioner, but I have a great staff. I have been blessed throughout my career with a great staff. I've got one lady that's been with me since 1994, another paralegal that's been with me, I think, 15 plus years now. I'm able to accomplish what I do accomplish because of my staff, and they have the same drive to help people and to do the best that we can for our clients as I do. So it's not just me, and I'm not going to take all the credit for it, because they deserve as much or more credit than I do from that. But yes, and you're not going to see me advertising on TV. It's just not. That's not me. I don't. I'm not going to get on there and talk about myself. I'm not going to carry some sort of a trinket around or call myself by some name. And I'm not going to mention any of them because I don't want to irritate anybody from that standpoint. But that's just not who I am. And we have the motto for the office that we go by, our mission statement, so to speak, is to provide small town service and deliver big city results. And I think I think I do that, and I strive to do that in every case. But I'm wanting to deliver big city results. I'm not wanting to deliver big city pomp and circumstance. Not saying that all attorneys in big cities are that way, but that's the way some are. And the majority, or at least a lot of my clients, are come from other attorney referrals and past client referrals, and I'm very proud of that fact. But also because of that, I don't have to spend a lot of money on TV advertising and all of that, because people who I've represented in the past are telling their family and their friends to come see me. But you were talking about the family a while ago, and you are 100% correct that it affects the family. And I've had spouses that be in my office and talk to me about how the injury has affected the spouse from there, and that is, and you can tell that it's affecting the entire family. From that standpoint, and the clients are always very appreciative. The spouse and the family members are also very, very appreciative. Had some that's brought me coconut cakes in the past, and feel free to keep doing that. We won't worry about my diabetes. We'll just coconut cakes. We always accept. But that is, it's very rewarding what I do, and like I said, I'm thankful that I get to do it.
Well, I mean, the type of work you do is, and again, you're not an attorney who bills by the hour. I mean, so when you take on a client, when you accept a case or a claim, you got a lot of weight on your shoulders because you're going to front all of these costs to get this case done because you work on what's called a contingency fee basis. Do you want to explain that real quickly?
Yeah, contingency fee basis means my fee is contingent upon a successful recovery. If there's not a successful recovery, there is no attorney fee. The fee is a percentage of the recovery. It varies depending on what type of case it is. That's a conversation. And when I have the first meeting with clients, that's one of the conversations we go through is how the fee is calculated. I also advance the litigation expenses. That's the cost that are incurred. If we have to have expert witnesses, I pay for the expert witnesses. We do depositions, I pay the court reporter fees. If we file the suit, then there's filing fees that have to be paid. I pay all of those costs. All of those costs are also contingent upon recovery, which means if I am successful, I'll get paid the attorney fee and reimburse my expenses. If we're not successful, the client doesn't owe me an attorney fee. They also do not owe me any reimbursement of my expenses because they're, they pursued the claim because I told them that I thought it was a legitimate claim to pursue, and they shouldn't be the ones out of pocket for that if they're pursuing the claim because of my advice.
Right. Absolutely. I sit back and I just look at that policy and go, wow, that's you got a lot on your shoulders. And I guess that's why you read as much as you do. I guess that's why you work as hard as you do. Because, I'll give you a call from time to time. You're like, yeah, I'm coming back in the office on the weekend. I gotta get this done and this done. And I'm sure everybody does that from time to time. But you're doing a lot, and to wind up with those kind of results, and then more importantly, to wind up with a recognition from your own peers. I mean, it's evident. I mean, you're actually doing some hard work here.
Yeah. Two other things I do. I had made note to mention, so I'm going to mention, and that is I didn't talk about. I mentioned I do Social Security disability earlier. I didn't talk about that, but in going back and looking at it, actually in 2024, when I went back and looked, and I very well may be the first year this is the case, but I'm not positive because I don't know that I've looked at it like that before. But Social Security disability cases last year, I didn't lose one.
Outstanding.
Which is, I was surprised actually when I saw that, but I didn't lose any of the Social Security disability cases that I had last year. And then on the personal injury, the car wreck cases, motorcycle wreck, big truck wreck cases, where you've got your recovery is limited sometimes by the available policy limits, but in looking at those cases, I mentioned this to you before we got started. And again, I've never looked at it before, but for some reason I did look at it in preparation for today's episode, and going back and looking at that, in 75% of those cases I resolved last year, I got all the money there was to get, which is something I'm proud of. I mean, I don't think I've ever, I may have reached that level before in other years because I've never looked at it, but when you get all there is to get out there for your client 75% of the time, that's really, really, in my opinion, I'm very proud of that.
That's astonishing. I mean, I've not really sat down and looked at the numbers that way, but I know, some people kind of have a reputation for wanting to settle the case and kind of churn and burn a little bit, and so you always wonder, wow, did we do the best work we could have done? But you're maxing out the insurance policy. You're basically holding them accountable 75% of the time. You're getting everything. So it's not a question of quick settlements here. You're working the case.
Well, exactly. And, on the others that weren't where I didn't max out, I think I recovered my client's full damages in those cases. Don't get me wrong. It's just that they had really, really good policy limits for my client's injuries from there. But when you max out the recoveries in there, in some of those cases, they started off substantially lower than their policy limits, and I was able to get them up to the policy limits, and that can be tricky at times. But I'm very proud that I was able to get the absolute most I could get for the clients there. And on the other ones, I think I probably got the most I could get for them for their injuries,
based
but
on the
not
facts of that
everything
case,
there was out there.
Yeah.
So.
And that's something we've got to be careful of. I mean, there's always that, hey, are we setting an undue expectation? No. Every case stands on its own, and there's no guarantee of any kind of result. But when you've taken a case and you've got these kind of stats to back it up, I would feel fairly confident, you know, that if I called you, that I would feel that my case is in good hands.
Well, I hope all of my clients feel that that we take their case very seriously and we're doing everything we can for them.
Well, I think the Google reviews for Robert's Law Office here in Murray kind of show that. I mean, you've got a ton of Google reviews over there that you've amassed over 3 decades now of working. I don't think we had Google that far back, but you've got a lot of people for a solo practice. You've got a tremendous amount of very well written 5-star reviews, and again,
Yes.
those are earned. I've said that a few times to you. Those are earned. You don't, you know.
Yeah, you're making me feel old, but yes, I have been I have been practicing longer than Google has been in existence. I've been practicing law longer than that. So thank you for making me feel ancient. I
Well,
appreciate that.
I didn't want you to leave here with a big head after I talked about how humble you were. So,
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, you've got 2 offices. We're recording here in Calloway County in your Murray office, but let's talk about that and the fact that you've actually got one phone number regardless of the office that you're trying to reach.
Correct. I do have one number. The number's 270-753-0053. I have that one number because I want people to have a live person to answer the phone when they call. So if you call that number, you will get a live person if it's during normal business hours, unless we happen to be on all the other lines. But you'll get a live person pick up and answer the phone for you. If I'm available, I'll get on the phone and talk with you as well. And I like that. That's part of the providing the small town service. You don't get a voicemail and push this number to get so-and-so, et cetera. You get a live person. But also to provide the small town service, I opened up an office in Hopkinsville in Christian County back in 2023 to be able to provide better service for my clients up in that area. I have a lot of clients up in that area, and it's just better for them, for me to go up there and meet with 4 or 5 clients on one day up there instead of having them drive down here. So, and that's worked out very well. But I represent people all over the state, and I can meet with people. I have several clients in the Bowling Green area, and I'll travel up there and meet with them at a location that I use to meet with them, or I meet with clients by phone or by video conference as well.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, I love the fact that technology here has made it easy. I mean, you do represent people all across the Commonwealth,
Correct.
For personal injury and for workers' comp. And actually, as we spoke about in a previous episode, when it comes to Social Security disability, that's a federal program, so you can practice in every state in the union.
Correct. I am licensed by the Social Security Administration to practice in all 50 states. I'm
Yeah.
still waiting for that client out of Hawaii.
Maybe you have to do some on-site visits.
I may have to go out there and I might have to go out there and look for a billboard location. That might work. Maybe I can somehow write that off.
We'll figure it. We'll put our heads together. We'll come up with something.
You're going to go with me?
I think so. That'd be a remote podcast. We'll figure that out. But I love the fact that you actually have a live person here answering the phone, and I think that's as you said, it's the small town results. About the only time you're going to get an answering machine would be after hours, or to your point, if everybody's on the phone at that one point and you just happen to be that person who randomly calls in, and okay, you're going to kind of get routed, but you get right back to people anyway.
Yes, I've got. We have 3 phone lines here, so if we got people talking on all 3 lines when you call in, it's going to put you over to the voicemail in that setting because all the lines are busy from there. But unless that's the case, my staff, who are very good at what they do, but if they see 2 lines, the third line's ringing and somebody's on the other 2, they know to pick that up. So
Outstanding. Well, Jeff, once again, as we wrap up this episode, I want to say congratulations for being included in the Super Lawyers list. I mean, that is significant recognition by your peers. And congratulations as well for assuming the presidency of the Kentucky Justice Association. Once again, the trust of your peers are right there in front of you, and I know you're going to do a fantastic job in front of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Outstanding. Friends, we'll be back in a couple of weeks here, and by all means, please make sure you check out some of the other episodes. We've done a lot of episodes with Jeff. You can find him on his website, jeffrobertslaw.com. There's a podcast button there, and you can look at that. But you can also find him out on iHeart and Spotify and Apple Podcast and everywhere else. Feel free to check out his YouTube channel as well, because we upload a lot of these podcast episodes to the YouTube channel as well. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Roberts Law Office Injury Podcast. Jeff will return in 2 weeks. Until then, he invites you to visit jeffrobertslaw.com and follow his firm on Facebook. At the Roberts Law Office, you'll find a history of small town service and big city results.